Hey everyone, welcome to Latin Excellence in Iowa. Today you're gonna find me with Marlén Joanne Mendoza. Right now she's living in Iowa City, but she's originally from Chicago. And I wanted her to tell us a little bit about her journey from how she got to Chicago to Iowa, and what made her come back because she was in DC for a hot minute. So I'm gonna start with a couple of questions, Marlén. Thank you for being with me. Would you like to give a little bit of your background?
Yeah, thank you, Victor, and thank you everyone who's watching us here for Latino Excellence. I'm very happy to be a proud, feature for this series. So, like Victor said, was born and raised in Chicago. For most of my life, that was, my upbringing, what molded me, what shaped me. And I really came to the university. Well, I came to Iowa for school. So when I decided to go to college, I came out to the University of Iowa, and I decided to come to Iowa because they gave me at the time a scholarship called Advantage Iowa that really supported minority, students to come and get a full ride to school as long as you met certain qualifications. So I did that. I met a bunch of great people here at the University of Iowa from 2012 to 2016. And when I was an undergrad at the university, I did a lot of work in public health in community settings, mainly in Latino towns. So through that work as an undergrad, and my background was, I majored in public health and Spanish. I was able to do a lot of work in that setting. And to me, it was beautiful because my background, is, like I said, is growing up in a city. My perception of Latinos was always based in cities. So I always thought Latinos were in LA, they were in Florida, Miami, New York, Chicago. Like that was my perception of Latinos and where they lived. But when I came to the University of Iowa for school, it really changed my perspective to know that Latinos are everywhere, even in Iowa, West Liberty, Ottumwa, Columbus Junction, Muscatine. I can go on Sioux City, here, Iowa City. So it was really nice to get to meet other Latinos who are also in rural parts of the Midwest. And from all the places that I've lived, I've actually cultivated the warmest, the most loving Latino community here in Iowa City. And because there's not many of us, we're very much connected. There's a lot of community work that we do. And I really, really love that. I appreciated the love and the welcoming of a lot of this Latino community here. And so, when I graduated in 2016, like Victor said, I went out to DC to do a lot of work to tie public health, community settings, community work, organizing, all of those things. And I wanted to tie them to policy because I knew that policy was kind of like, when people say that the devil's in the details, that's really what policy is. You need to know like what exactly is certain things going to do to us at the local, state, or national levels. And I wanted to really learn that and tie that to how we can use that policy when we're organizing at a community level. And because my roots in organizing were really, really cemented here in Iowa, I decided that when after 2.5 years of working in DC, I realized that I couldn't make a lot of change at that top of a level because there's a lot of bureaucracy that gets in the way. So there's a lot of rules and things that get in the way. I realized that most of the power is actually local. And this is for the upcoming elections and everything. Like when you look at power and how you can change things, always go back to your community. That's where you can make the most impact and change because there's less, for the most part, especially here in Iowa, there's less people that you have to work with. You know exactly where the power levers are. You know exactly where you need to go in your town to talk to the county, supervisor, auditor, whoever it is.
City manager, mayor.
Managers, city council, you know who they are. It's at a smaller setting. So when I had those skill sets in DC, I decided that I wanted to come back to Iowa, mainly because I also want to pursue a graduate degree in my alma mater, but also because I wanted to get reconnected at a community setting and use the skills that I had brought with me, that I had learned in DC, and bring them back to Iowa because yes, I could bring these skills to Chicago, but there's a lot of resources and there's a lot of people who are doing that work in Chicago. There's not that many people doing it here in Iowa. And I saw that need. Victor, like you, other people that also graduated from the University of Iowa who are Latino, the need is essential. The need is here, whether it's in Sioux City or Western Iowa or here in Eastern Iowa. I realized that my skills could be really used here. And so I've been here officially for like a little bit over a year. And that's exactly what I decided to do. I'm currently president of my LULAC chapter here in Iowa City. And that's exactly what we're trying to do, figuring out how we can support Latinos at a very local setting and helping them out with whatever needs they need right now.
Yeah, and honestly, thank you. Could you give a quick what does LULAC stand for?
Yeah, so LULAC, for those of you who don't know, it stands for League of United Latin American Citizens. And it's the oldest and largest civil rights organization in the nation.
Yeah, and so I think what the main point of Marlene's background, which is really great, is that she was able to synthesize and merge all of her passions and interests that she kind of found out about at the University of Iowa, right? So, and that's at any college or university that you attend. So she came from a city background. She was like, oh, Latinos are from cities, but her worldview started to expand when she got to Iowa. And then she started to explore her passions in public health and in Latinx identity. And then she started merging all of these, and she said the devil's in the details. So she went to pursue policy. So as you keep seeing, is that her experience is beyond her major, which is really important to identify here. So once you major in something, it's not really that. You can really expand off of that based on what opportunities you get at the University of Iowa. So a quick question in like a couple sentences, what does success mean to you? And what does it look like?
Yeah. Honestly, this is not to be cliche what other people say this, but it's really true. Success is in trial and error. And what I mean by that is that you will only find success in the different iterations of work that you do that are proven successful. Because a lot of times people stop at fear and they don't try something out to see if it's successful.
Mhm.
But if you truly want to be successful in any area, in any goal, in anything that you want to do, you have to be able to try different things and fail. To then eventually, in one of those processes, find something that, hey, maybe this didn't work out, but another idea opened up, or it gave me another idea to do something else. And then that's kind of how life kind of throws you into things, and you realize this is what I want to do.
You have to make mistakes. Demi
Mhm.
Lovato was right. And you really do. And I think that's the thing about a growth mindset. Through failure, you really start seeing like, oh, I did this. This is where I can improve. And I guess so. You're a first generation student. Your parents didn't go to college. You're the first one to graduate in your family, right?
Mhm. Yes.
If you could give advice to first generation students, what type of advice would you give to them? Like quickly.
Quickly, the biggest advice I can give you is that try to find that academic parent. So I always refer to them as an academic mom. Because you're a first generation student, sometimes it's hard to relate to what you're going through in college with your parents because they haven't experienced it. So don't use that as feeling sad, because you can feel lonely sometimes in that process because your parents haven't experienced it, or maybe they have a hard time understanding what you're going through. But try to find that mentor on campus.
What does being a Latinx Iowan mean to you?
Being a Latinx Iowan to me is owning the history of our people in Iowa. We have always contributed to the state because this is an agricultural state. So I want people to really understand that. For as long as you can think, if you look up the Iowa Women's Archives or just archives of Latinos in the state, the economic backbone of the state is agricultural farm workers. It's people who are working in meat packing plants. And so our people have been here for a long time doing the similar work, and we're only getting bigger as a population. So there's a lot of things that, somos Iowanos. That's the best way I can describe it. Like, owning the fact that, we've been here generations deep, and,
Mhm.
and that's what we are. We're Iowans just like anyone else.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Great. Well, thank you for your time, Marlene. I really appreciate. I know you're a busy woman. I'll let you get back to all of your gigs, but thank you so much for meeting with me today. I really appreciate it.
No, of course. Thank you, everyone.